I had just finished not too long ago listening and watching this conversation on YouTube between a atheist, a Christian, and a spiritualist. I think that's actually the title of the video, something along those lines. And it was a very interesting conversation, at times a bit of a debate. But I think one thing I'm not even sure if they realized it or not, but one thing that I've noticed that the three of them had mentioned is it's almost it's not almost it is up to the individual for them to like find their way and purpose through life. It can it can be similar to other people's, but essentially there's unlike technology and other things where we could pass down the work that we've done so far. When it comes to the, I guess you could say, spirituality aspect of it, and the um, finding one's own purpose, everybody starts from zero, and it is up to the individual to go on that journey. Now, there are practices, there are things that you can do to, help you along the process. But it seems like there's nothing specifically that will get you there. And we could just say there being, I don't know, enlightened, finding or knowing your purpose, whatever there is. And one point that the atheist, or I wouldn't even say point, one phrase that he would repeat, I forget exactly where he got it from, but he kept saying, if you meet the Buddha, kill him. And it kind of just ties into the point where uh, I, there is not a person that can take you by the hand and lead you to salvation. And so anybody claiming to do so, that should already be a red flag right there. Now, reflecting on this and their conversation, a point that I kept on thinking about and I have been thinking about for a little bit now is just comparison. And what's the saying again, where comparison is the thief of joy, something along those lines. And I just think that's a good reminder for myself that, whatever my path, my purpose may be, it is up to me to figure that out. And everybody everybody in some way or another is doing the same thing. At least if they're doing the same thing, if they are trying to commit and align themselves with their purpose. They have to be the ones to find it, just like I have to be the one to find my own. I think one of the things that I have found a little bit um, I don't want to say uneasy, but I guess one thing that I do find difficult at times is having that determination, self-confidence, and overall just commitment to yourself to keep moving along the path that you view as right for yourself. So what I mean by that is, for instance, I said that it is up to the individual to deliver themselves to salvation, or to get them to that point of enlightenment, whatever you want to call it, just to get them there. And so, if I say that, I can instantly go and find at least 100 different people online who would disagree with me and who may be able to articulate themselves and have their own reasoning and explanation for why they believe so. Now, I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying that, I could change my mind or come across information that would change my thinking. I guess what I am saying is that I'm doing and saying and trying to live my life in accordance to what I view as right and what I think is right. And being confident enough to continue doing so, but also humble enough to test my own assumptions, my own beliefs, and my values. I think it's a fine line to walk. You err on the side of too confident, and now you almost like close yourself off from certain things. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you question everything and you don't believe anything that you do or say, it almost leads to inaction. One thing I believe is that, yes, every person goes through their own unique experiences in life. However, though, the set of emotions that life invokes, I believe that is common, and that is not so unique. For instance, I am a guy, right? I'm male. And there are things that I experience as a male that a female cannot. And the same thing vice versa. There are things that a female experiences that I cannot as a male. Even though what we experience may be different, that experience, um, whatever it may be, love, intimacy, hurt, pain, that emotion and that energy there, I think is shared, and that is something that is common amongst everyone. So with that being said, there is a part of me that, does believe this life is an experience, of course, but I also believe it is some type of test as well. But it's not necessarily the same type of test that we may be used to. For instance, um, you know, in school, all 20, 30 kids in the class get the same test, and if we all fill it out the same way, my hair. If we all fill it out the same way, we'll all end up with the same grade. A, B, B, whatever. We'll all end up in with the same grade. I think with life, though, it's a little bit different. If, let's just say I had a twin, and my twin lived his life following his own compass, right? Excuse me. And he lived his life where he was doing everything he believed he should do, and essentially living his life his way. I believe that's a different grade, I guess you could say, than if I was to go through life and make the same decision that my twin has made. And hell, even maybe with the same outcome, right? I think those are two different grades. And so I think it's important to keep in mind how I'll say it this way. I have found throughout points in my life where I've realized I'm chasing somebody else's goal, somebody else's dream. And yes, it may lead to some success. Yes, it may, improve my life for the better. However, I don't think the fulfillment and sense of purpose would be the same compared to me deciding to do what I believe is right for me, irregardless of the outcome. A lot of people, again, I am not excluded, but will work towards something, have a goal of something, strictly for the outcome that they have seen it bring to somebody else. Not necessarily because they feel like it aligns with their purpose and what they're supposed to be doing. What I have been putting effort towards is doing the things that I feel align with my purpose and what I need to be doing, irregardless if the outcome is clear, right? The goal is no longer the output. The goal is now the input, right? So for example, when I go to class, right, my goal, when I go train jiu-jitsu, my goal is no longer to receive the next promotion, right? Next belt up. My goal is to just go and train. And same thing even with these videos. I do not have a goal of a, specific number, right? Money, followers, views, whatever. My goal now is making the video, because I feel like that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So I think in whatever you do, go for it wholeheartedly. And also be sure that you are leading yourself in the process.